As entrepreneurs, we all have a reason why we chose to leave our 9 to 5 for an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm here to capture those stories of why we all hustle and grind for our companies. Ania is a spiritual mentor, plant medicine facilitator, intuitive healer, and entrepreneur. After leaving a corporate career, she embraced ancient healing practices and found her true purpose. Ania holds certifications as an EFT Practitioner, Breathwork Facilitator, Ho'oponopono Master, and Akashic Records Reader, helping individuals align with their highest potential. Recognized by Entrepreneur Magazine and U.S. Reporter, Ania is a 2-time best-selling author and founder of Xpansion Alchemy. Her mission is to empower people to manifest their desires through self-love, spiritual awakening, and entrepreneurship. Well, Ania, thank you so much for being on the show today. You have this really amazing story, and I'm really looking forward to exploring this with you and having a chat with you today. So again, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here.
You said you're in Colombia right now, which is actually on my short list. It wasn't until maybe 3 years ago that I even thought about going to Colombia, because I think as Americans, we think, oh, it's dangerous, right? Not so much. It's a bit of a difference.
It is, but use discretion and don't put yourself in those situations. It can be, but I'm also from Chicago, and that's dangerous too.
So really, it's not as bad as the streets in Chicago. You're about the same as long as you're somewhat savvy. You're not going to come from rural Iowa and expect it to be the same. But yeah. But I think that's perception we have. So I always like to kind of, when I get a guest on from a unique area or somewhere that kind of catches my fancy, and I like to make sure that people know, no, it's actually a beautiful city. It's actually a beautiful area, and not a bad place to visit.
Cool. That's for sure.
So let's go into a little bit about your backstory, because you had this really interesting backstory and transition. Tell us a little bit about how you started off in the corporate world, and then the transition out of it, because you were not really a big fan of your job. I mean, just something was wrong, right? It wasn't vibing.
Well, I've actually come full circle.
Oh, nice.
So my dad was actually in a work accident when I was really young. I was about 10 years old. And because of that, we were immigrants to the US. I was the only one speaking English. So I was going to doctor's offices, legal offices, like learning no words 10-year-olds should learn, just doing all the grown-up stuff around the house. And that led me to having a lot of trauma in my life, having to grow up really quickly, having resentment towards my father, that he got into this accident. God, if you exist, why did this happen to him? Why did this happen to our family? All of that. And because I was taking on so much responsibility, we also lost an income, like my dad's income. So it was my mom only working. So I knew that I had to do something to bring in an income as quickly as possible. And I was always very artsy. Like I took a graphic design class in high school, and I'm like, I love this. This is what I'm going to do. So in high school, I went to my counselor's office and I'm like, okay, what can I do to graduate high school early so I could get to college early so I can help my family? So I did that, graduated high school early, graduated college early, graduated with my first bachelor's at 19. Straight away, life manifested in a beautiful way. So I was still in college when I got my internship, and then they hired me on as full-time while I was still in college. So I tell people, like, I've had a career. I've been working in corporate America since I was 17 years old. And they're like, aren't you 17 now? I'm like, I wish. Wow.
So I was right in.
So I went right in because I had to bring on that income. Mm-hmm. And so I worked in corporate America for almost a decade. And I came to a point where I was also very physically sick, anxiety, depression, insomnia. I was going blind. I couldn't eat anything. I was allergic to almost every single food. Just so many things wrong with me. And I came to a point not only where Western medicine wasn't working for me, and I knew that my health was the most important thing, but also where I couldn't advance at that particular job anymore. As anyone who has been in corporate America, sometimes you know that you reach a plateau and it's like, okay, do I look for a new job, or do I stay in this job where I can't accelerate anymore? So my two options were, do I look for a new job or do I do something crazy? So I decided to do something crazy. And that's something crazy for me. Again, I was only 26, 27 years old at the time. I was like, okay, well, my health is more important. I've always wanted to travel. I don't have any kids. What is holding me back of being here? I also had a lot of trauma with my father, and I wanted to get as far away from him as possible at the time. So I did something crazy. Within 2 weeks, I quit my job, sold my car, sold my apartment, put everything in storage, and bought a one-way ticket to Thailand. And in Thailand, that's where my travels started. I started going to breathwork sessions, meditation classes, and really started like healing myself. And what felt like just a couple of months, I was feeling better. All of a sudden, I was sleeping. I wasn't having panic attacks like when I walked outside. Like all of these things, I started eating normal foods, real foods, which we don't know what that is in America, really. And I just started feeling better. And that because I transitioned from graphic design to the online world, it was really easy for me to become an entrepreneur. Like I had so many graphic design, like freelance clients already. So I just started a graphic design agency. It was really easy for me to transition. But at that time, I also got a mentor and like a business mentor. And he's like, well, you have a marketing degree too. Why don't you teach people how to market? So I was like, one thing led to another. I started teaching business. Then I eventually worked from Southeast Asia to Europe to South America, and I started getting involved in plant medicines and the very deep on my own spiritual path. And from there, I was like, okay, like spiritual mentorship, like that is my calling. That's what I've been doing for the last 6 years, and I absolutely love it. And I'm happy to share a little bit more about what I'm currently doing, Xpansion Alchemy, and that's the whole full circle that I was talking about, but we could get into that in a bit.
Yeah, so it sounds like an interesting kind of whirlwind. You're one of the few. You're sorry. I've known a number of people who've gone to Thailand because it's like I just want to go there to find myself. It seems like the destination.
Like
Yeah.
I didn't even know what language they spoke in Thailand. It was literally just the furthest from Chicago as possible.
The furthest livable area. Yeah, yeah. Huh. That is also on my bucket list is Thailand because it's just like it seems like such an interesting culture and an interesting experience and very, very different than the States.
Very
And
different.
it's just one of those things where it's I love the fact that you basically took your first entrepreneurial journey and did what we all do. And it's sort of like, okay, cool, let's pivot, bam, let's do this other really cool new thing. And it sounds like you kind of had that inborn that, like we all have that kind of bug that as
Something
entrepreneurs we end
inside
up
of,
having.
yes.
Yeah,
And taking that
yeah.
leap of faith.
Mhm. Exactly. And that we sort of, shun what we see as the 9 to 5, we sort of shun that and then move on to something else. And it's like, let's go do this other cool thing because it seems kind of cool. And, your transition between graphic design to building an agency is a really common one as well. We do it with my industry too, instructional designers. We often will kind of do, like we have one client, we're technically freelancers and then we move off into an agency. So it's really interesting. How did that transition go for you? Like when you went from basically solopreneur owning a job. That's has a bad meaning to it, but that's not what I mean. It's that you instead of owning a job, you went on to actually building an agency. How did that work? Like, what was that
So
experience?
again, like it was a fairly easy transition because when I was still in corporate America, I had quite a few freelance clients just to help out. Like I was always having side hustles. I bartended for five
Love
years
it.
as well, just to bring on extra income because I was helping my family at the same time. So I had freelance clients the entire time. So when I quit my job, I quit bartending as well. And then I kept all of those clients and more clients kept coming. And then building the agency, I just ended up hiring other people because I'm like, I have too much clients at this point. And that's how the agency just pretty much built for me because I just had too many clients. I couldn't take on all of the work. So I just outsourced other things.
And I like how that's a common transition. I like how you just did that. It's like I have way too much work. Okay, now we're doing an agency.
Yep, now I own an agency. This is what happens.
And for a lot of people, that's the best way to do it is, okay, I have a problem. Let's solve it. Let's figure this out. And, that's a scary jump for some people, doing
Oh,
that
for
jump
sure.
between
Entrepreneurship
hiring
is
other
scary
people.
for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those, we have to be used to being in an uncomfortable situation. I don't want to say permanently, but consistently. And it's the good stuff is on the other side of that discomfort. And I think it's a lot of personal development's the same way. It's uncomfortable, it's difficult to go through, it's difficult to see all your demons. It's like what you were doing, where it's like you're trying to take care of all of those things you had built up with your dad and all of those things that were there. You went to Thailand, you then sorted it out, but there's really good stuff on the other end of that, right?
Yeah, but we have to have that full faith within ourselves. Like, okay, this is what's
Mhm.
like. I know that my health is the most important. I know that getting out of this toxic relationship, this toxic job, whatever it is, my
Mhm.
life is going to be so much better. And not like, oh, well, what if actually maybe staying in this job was good for me? No, move past it. If you're thinking about it, there's probably something wrong with it. So move
Mhm.
past it. It's scary. Yeah, we all. But ask for help where you need it. Go to people who support you, like have a community, and you've got this.
And on the other end of it, there is a level of freedom to being able to overcome these hurdles and to be able to look things straight in the eye and go, nope, I'm dealing with this. Let's
For
push through it.
sure.
Because the good
Looking back,
stuff's
you're
on the
like,
other
I did
side.
that. Dang.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is one of my goals in life is to help as many possible people I can transition from that 9 to 5 that they don't like. Some people love the 9 to 5. We need 9 to 5 workers. It's an essential role. If you're happy in that role and you're doing well and you're thriving, good. It's the ones that are like what happened with you, where it's like, no, this is not right for me. This is not fitting. I'm not vibing with this. And especially with health issues coming up, I've been a believer for years that health issues are not always what they look, that it could also be being in a toxic relationship will cause health issues. And there's a direct correlation between the situation you're in and your health. So it's part of it's eating. And I think I want to touch again on what you said. I think there's a reason why the standard American diet, the acronym is SAD, because it is. We eat a lot of crap. I think part of it is that, but part of it also is that when we're in a bad situation, it just really it drains our batteries and makes us less than what we could be.
For
I'll put
me,
it.
it was all stress related. Like an
Yeah.
entire decade of being sick was all stress related. The second that I took myself out of the stressful environment, my corporate job, at me having to take care of my family, stuff with my dad, like all these things, all of a sudden my stress started going down. My anxiety went away. I was able to
Yep.
sleep. It was all stressful related. But while I was in there, I had no idea that that's what it was because I was so jaded and so like I had little blindfolds on, be like, okay, this is how everyone lives. This is how all my friends are doing it. This is how everyone is doing it. I don't know any better. Take yourself out of that situation. It's funny. I want to relate this a little bit back to like, I do some work with manifestation and I was a law of attraction coach. Like I still do teach law of attraction. Like when my clients are like, oh, I can't manifest something. I can't do something. I'm like, go clean your house, like change up your environment. Like
Yeah.
it's the same exact thing. Just changing up your environment gives you a different perspective.
Yeah. I feel lighter when I've cleaned. It's the weird thing I have. I like clean
Cleanse that
house. I like things in their
energy.
place. I know where everything is. It's great. And yeah, I love that, I'm not one of those people that's like, it takes me 6 hours to do laundry and then 3 to 5 business days to fold it. Nope, gets folded that day. I put it on my bed, like before I make, so that way I can't go to bed that night without dealing with the pile of laundry. It's worked well for years. I don't know.
I just moved into a new house last week on
Uh,
Wednesday. I'm
oh
like
yeah.
unpacked completely. I'm the same exact way. I'm like boxes everywhere. I cannot be living like this.
So I have to ask. So I want to see if you're truly like, a similar soul here. When you go to a hotel, do you put all your clothes away?
Depends. How long am I
Okay.
staying in the hotel for? If I'm for a
Longer,
night, like
longer
I
than a night.
don't.
Longer than a
Yeah,
night.
more than a night, usually I do.
Yeah, same here. So I 100% understand that question because if it's just an overnight, there's not enough. I just leave it in the thing. I'll lay
Yeah,
stuff out on like the counter in the bathroom and that's it. But yeah, if I'm there for longer than a night, like 3 or 4 nights, absolutely everything's going in the drawers, hanging up, everything. I do my ironing and everything's all ready.
perfect.
Good. At least I'm not the only. I like similar spirits like that. It's great. I have a friend of mine who just kind of opens up the suitcase and leaves it there, and it drives me nuts.
Used to when I was younger, like whenever I travel, I
Yeah,
also
yeah,
traveled to like Mexico when I was drunk half the time. So like sure, I'm living out of the
yeah.
suitcase, throwing things around the hotel room, but now no. That
I think that's a bit of a different environment. I'll
yes.
just a bit different. Tijuana is a whole nother world. So, what are some of the, let's get into a little bit about kind of what you are getting into and how you've related it to entrepreneurship, because I think that is something as far as entrepreneurship is concerned, where it's like I reject your reality and I substitute my own. What are some of the things that you found as an entrepreneur that you've learned, and how have you been able to kind of include some of the things you learned in Thailand and through your self discovery? How have you been able to integrate that into your life?
So the main thing that comes to me is if you have a belief so deep inside of you that this is what you're supposed to be doing, whether it's mentoring, teaching, coaching, starting a startup, whatever it is, you have such a burning desire in you, like, this is going to help people. This is how I'm going to do it, whatever. Like, it's going to take a long time. Entrepreneurship is not easy. There's going to be lots of ups and downs. But if you have such a strong, deep desire within yourself, like, this is 100%, I know it in every soul in my being that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Keep going, keep pushing. I'm sure we've all seen that little meme of the guy like hitting at a wall and like he's hitting, and then he stops and he's like, I give up. Where the next guy hits the same wall just underneath him and he like gets the gold mine. Just keep going. Do not give up on whatever it is that you want. And there's going to be ups and downs. So for sure, there's going to be hard moments. There's going to be easy moments. There's going to be moments you're going to want to rip your hair off, moments you're going to want to cry, and moments you're going to be jumping up and down of excitement. But it's all worth it if you have that deep desire within yourself. And that truly came from me through the stuff that I've done in personal development, stuff that I've done on working with myself, but also how I started Xpansion Alchemy, which is what I'm currently doing. So Xpansion Alchemy, I had a very successful coaching business. 2 years ago, I wrote my second book. I was on book tour. I came back from book tour. I got hacked and I lost absolutely everything. My website, 30,000 email subscribers, 300 pieces of video content, everything. And followed by multiple months of trying to retrieve everything, followed by multiple months of having a mental breakdown, like questioning myself. What am I supposed to be doing? Like going into imposter syndrome. Am I worthy? Am I good enough for this? Like, maybe what is the higher calling? So I knew what I knew how to do best. And that's sat in a 4-hour meditation. And this new company came to me, the name, the colors, the logos, what partners I want on it. Everything was just gifted to me. And I sat with it and like how it felt in my body. And we're only a year and a half old now, but how it felt in my body, I still have that feeling in my body, that burning desire. I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing because I'm helping people through X, Y, and Z. This is how I'm reaching out to people. Like, I have that deep desire. So like, if ups and downs happen, like, I turn back to that feeling. Okay, this is what I want, and this is why I want it.
And I think as entrepreneurs, we all can, when we hear things like, plant medicine and various things, there's a lot of different identities we see with it, but we know what that is, that passion. Like I say in the beginning of the podcast, there's a reason why we left our 9 to 5 for an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And it's that passion that makes it different. And I think, especially as we're early on in the process, it's difficult for us to sit back, still our minds, and listen to that inner voice, because whatever you want to think that it is, and whatever your belief system is, it's their guiding. And I think that's why entrepreneurs really have this strong like meditative practices. All of the good, successful entrepreneurs I know, all of them have a strong meditation practice. And there's different things we can do to listen.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about like how busy you are throughout the day, like doing all your not to-do lists. Like, that stuff could be outsourced, but like sometimes it is just turning inwards. Like, the answers come to you. I was watching something recently and they said, like, if you don't know the answer to a question, sit inside yourself long enough and you will. And like, that so resonates with me because no matter what it is, just sit long enough within yourself, quietly, with your mind quiet, and all of the answers will come to you no matter what it is.
And it's funny, entrepreneurs do this. We're really good at it. And, I had it happen a couple of weeks ago where I just had this moment of revelation where everything became clear. And I had this entire thing of, it's a new product I'm going to launch. And just the whole thing came out, just this download of stuff, and it was enough that it was, that just absolutely drove my batteries. I'm still riding the high off of it. But, I think it's something that we kind of know is there. Sometimes we forget about it, especially if we're in what I call the suck. And that's like the first few years of business where you're grinding, you're chief everything officer, you're just getting things up and going. You're constantly getting kicked, all that other stuff, and, touching on that for a second, I think as entrepreneurs, we have a significantly higher threshold. We have a higher tolerance for things, and we can get the massive stuff done because we have a higher tolerance for uncomfortable situations. But interesting. So really cool. So now is the academy online? Is it like how
Yeah,
do we
so
engage?
Expansion Alchemy is an online portal in the realms of personal development, health, relationships, spirituality, and financial literacy.
Hmm.
And we're reaching out to corporations as a mental wellness benefit for employees. Hence the full circle. So I'm not meant
Nice.
to work in a corporation, but that is something that's so passionate to me, because the reason that I left corporate America, I was sick, I was burnt out, I had stress. And if I had the tools then that I have now, I'd still probably be in corporate America. Thankfully, that's not my path anymore. But those are the people that need it the most, because they're not entrepreneurs. They don't know, okay, I need to meditate 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day. Those are the ones that are like, okay, I wake up at 5 a.m., I go work out, I read the news or listen to NPR while on my way to work, whatever it might be, work for 8 hours, come back, make some dinner, watch TV for the rest of the night. Okay, well, maybe you need to meditate. Maybe you need a little breathwork session. Maybe you need a yoga session, whatever it might be. We have 12 classes a month, all in one of those 5 pillars that we had. And it's really reaching out to helping people become their better selves in not only their personal lives, but their professional lives as well.
Interesting. And we're going to have the link to your academy in the show description so that they can take a look. Also, you have got a retreat coming up in December, so which is about when this is going to air. Tell us a little bit more. It's plant-based medicine. It's going to be in Colombia.
Yes, it'll be in Colombia, and it'll be a 2-week retreat focusing on 2 different styles of medicine. So one week will be one tribe, the second week we'll be sitting with a different tribe, and we'll be focusing on integration. There'll be some breathwork sessions, sound healings, other therapies as well, just to get the full spectrum of different styles and what we're doing here.
Interesting. Awesome. So I just wanted to make sure that we got that out there so that people can understand, people will be able to hear about it. And do you do these regularly or
Yep,
like how often?
regularly.
Okay.
So starting the new year, we'll be doing them a lot more often, probably every
Awesome.
2-ish months.
Awesome. Cool, cool. And just out of curiosity, do you have like a facility there that you do like an office
So we're
space?
renting a facility right now, but we're
Got it.
also looking for land to purchase and build our own.
That'd be cool. I've known a couple of people that have done that in like Costa Rica and places, and it has been a truly amazing experience to just have this place in a beautiful country like Colombia, down around the equator. Where you guys always
Welcome,
get good.
everyone.
You guys always get good weather, you know.
Exactly. 75 and sunny year round. This is why I moved here from Chicago.
Absolutely, where it is not that. So, well, we're getting towards the end of things here, and I do have one question that I ask, and that what is one book or podcast that has had a significant impact on your life?
So this is one that I read recently, and it's called The Immortal Self. And it's about a man who goes on a journey in the Himalayas, and he finds these healers who are immortal. And it's based on a true story, actually. And it just gives you a new perspective of how we get so caught up and slowly kill ourselves because we don't really pay attention to what is going on, whether it's our health, how we're eating, our relationships. Whereas this group of people, they're immortal because they've mastered all of that. They figured out what that recipe is. Highly recommend it.
Interesting. Good, good. Cool. Well, Ania, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Andrew. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks again for joining us on the Hustle and Grind podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Ania, check out the link in the description.